We're going over some of the minor and unmarked locations in Fallout 4. In today's earlier video, we talked about Monsignor Plaza, and we learned about the budding but difficult romance between Griswold and Sue. In yesterday's episode, we tackled the Custom House Tower, which had a lot of wonderful real-world lore. In this episode, if we head due west of the Custom House Tower, we find another really interesting but unmarked location. After killing some raiders next to this teal-green building, we have two ways to go forward. We can go through the building if we want. We find a strange little alleyway covered in all sorts of billboards going right through the building. At the very end, we find a blasted-out Vault-Tec van with a suitcase and two skeletons inside. Otherwise, we can go around the southern side of the building where we see a dead Brahmin lying on the ground. We find a bunch of robots. If we get detected, we get attacked by some ceiling-mounted turrets, so it's good to get rid of these. But we can't loot any of these robots. What went on here? Well, I think it's clear that the machine gun turrets we just destroyed likely destroyed these robots at some time. But when were these robots destroyed? Before the war? Just after the bombs dropped? Sometime later? And where do these robots come from? And why were they coming to this building? And why did this building in the middle of the financial district on the waterfront need ceiling-mounted machine gun turrets posted outside? I wonder what could be in here. This is 35 Court. Now, this building is unique to the Fallout universe, but there is a Court Street in our world as well. Taking a look at Google Maps, if we zoom on into 35 Court Street, we see an awning with the street name and the building number in exactly the same colors that we find in the Fallout universe. Gold on top of black. It's in a slightly different spot. It's just down the street from the old State House. We can even turn around to see it off in the distance. But in our world, 35 Court Street is a dentist. But what could it be in the Fallout world? Heading inside, we see destruction all around us. We find the corpses of 4 raiders and 2 destroyed protectrons. Again with all of these robots. And what were these raiders looking for inside? Heading to the eastern side of the building, we see a laser tripwire on the floor. Thankfully, I had light steps, so I didn't trigger this thing. But if we had, we would have released a protectron and a ceiling-mounted machine gun turret. More high-tech defenses. Through a door, we see a terminal. After hacking it, we have the option to activate the nearby protectron to turn on or off the ceiling-mounted turrets and unlock the nearby floor safe. After activating this protectron, I forgot that this character doesn't have high levels of robotics, so I couldn't hack this robot, so I had to destroy it. At the top of the stairs, we round a corner to find a dead end. The door is just completely closed up, so instead we go back downstairs and take the elevator. Exiting the elevator, we hear the wind howling outside. We must be very high up. Heading down the hallway and turning left, we see a novice-locked door. Inside, we don't find much other than an expert-locked safe. Heading out of this room and continuing along, we find a ramp formed from a collapsed floor above. Going up leads us outside. The top of this skyscraper has been completely torn away. We don't see any enemies, though, so we can stop stealthing and move forward until... the doors on either side open up, and both an Assaultron and a Sentry Bot attack. This can be an extremely difficult battle, especially for someone who doesn't use power armor, like this character, or for lower level characters. Even though my character here was over level 50, I still had to do this 2 times and resort to chems before I finally killed these robots. After destroying the robots, we can go into their little rooms to explore. We find these red switches inside each room. And after activating the last red switch, a door to the room in the middle opens up when we find a full suit of Exo-1 power armor. Now, this suit of power armor is level-based, so you only have a chance to find Exo-1 armor on this frame if you're level 28 or greater when you find it. The frustrating thing about this encounter is that it's a pretty challenging fight, and so the reward should be really good, and a full suit of XO1 is certainly a great reward. But because the suit of power armor is level-based, if you happen to walk too close to this building, you could trigger the suit of armor to generate at that level. So let's say you discover the Custom House Tower when you're level 14 or so, and you wander too close to 35 Court, you may inadvertently cause this suit to trigger at a lower level than it really should. This is a reliable place to get a full suit of the power armor, so when playing a character that depends on power armor, I always steer clear of this place until my character is level 28 so that I can come here and get a full suit of XO1. Now this lobby is really interesting. We see a bunch of creepy statues and large faces, and it makes me wonder, what is a full suit of potentially XO1 power armor doing in a locked room protected by an Assaultron and a Sentry bot in a business skyscraper at 35 Court in the middle of the financial district of downtown Boston? That seems very odd to me. Well, the answer may be in a nearby building. Now that we have our power armor, we can jump down without dying to falling damage. But there's also a ruined skyscraper that's within leaping distance. If we hop down to the platform just below and then do a running jump, we can land on the nearby building. This allows us to explore the nearby ruins. This upper portion of the skyscraper is completely destroyed. We see more office space. There's a desk on this lower section with an advanced locked safe in the corner, and then a floor has collapsed, providing a ramp up to the second floor. Here we just find more containers to loot. So going back down, we have two choices. We can go up this big rusted out ramp, or we can turn the corner to go around to the rear of the building. Going around to the rear side first, we find two paths. We can climb up a rubble mound to the right, where we find a platform that's got some ammunition and some chems. And then going back down, we can climb up a big rusted out piece of metal to another skyscraper nearby. This has a ramp made from more collapsed metal that leads to a rooftop platform. We can turn northeast, where we find that raiders have set up an encampment here. Here we find a tidy stash, duffel bags filled with ammunition and loot, chem crates, and a great view of the Custom House Tower. That's how close 35 Court is to where we explored earlier. Heading out of this little raider camp, we can turn left around to the other side, where we find an elevator that leads all the way down to the ground floor. But we add one more path to explore that could help explain why we find this suit of power armor in 35 Court. Retracing our steps, we can go up that big rusted metal platform, go across the roof of another ruined building, up a rubble mound to another platform, and then across a fallen bit of billboard scaffolding to the roof of a nearby building. This has a big pickup truck advertisement on it. Crawling around the lip of the roof to the other side of the advertisement, we see a good view of Scully Square in Goodneighbor. But just before going around to this side of the billboard, however, we see some black metal serving as a ramp to bring us down to the rooftop of another building. This leads us to two more choices. We can go down a ladder to the ground floor. This overlooks an overpass where we can kill some raiders, or we can go through a door. This door takes us to Pinnacle Heights. I explored Pinnacle Heights and Hub 360 in my video about the DIA caches that we get to uncover when we side with the railroad. The DIA, or the Defense Intelligence Agency, is a department of the US government that specializes in external intelligence for the military. When doing the DIA stashes quests for the railroad, we find a bunch of hidden panels in these buildings, filled with an assortment of pre-war goods, weapons, ammunition, and even ballistic fiber. It's these quests that we have to complete to gain access to ballistic weave. I walked through all of these DIA quests in my video Jackpot, which you can watch here. But I think that the DIA caches and the suits of power armor at 35 Court are related. I'm betting that these buildings were part of an entire block of Boston where the government was running covert operations, possibly either spying on its own citizens or trying to root out communist spies working out of Boston. Their agents would have to have weapons, armor, and ammunition nearby, possibly even including the latest in power armor. Alternatively, 35 Court could have been a research facility for the United States government where they were doing research on power armor. Maybe everything got destroyed except for that floor at the very top where they stored a prototype suit of power armor. Since it was in development and everything was hush-hush, they had it guarded by assaultrons and sentry bots. At any rate, 35 Court is a great place to know about. It's an unmarked location, but it's a reliable source of Mark III X-01 power armor. And from here we can explore the ruins of many different nearby skyscrapers, making this a fun encounter. And that's the full story of 35 Court. I would love to hear your thoughts. Do you, like I, come here after level 28 to get your X-01 suit of power armor? Or do you like to source yours from somewhere else? Maybe share that location with us in the comments below. Thanks for watching, folks. I publish a new Fallout video 6 days a week, so if you want to make sure you don't miss my next video, be sure to subscribe and to click that bell notification button. And if you like what I do, and you want to support me in a more personal way, consider becoming one of my patrons on Patreon. Patreon subscribers get access to a private channel on my Discord server, as well as a bunch of other cool Oxhorn perks. Thanks for watching all, and I'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early, with a brand new video.
Going up.